I don't have a passcode.
The wireless?
What?
This work session, regular meeting of the Township Council is called to
I
order.
didn't set one.
In accordance with Section 5 of the Open Public Meeting Act, Chapter 231, Public Law 1975, be advised that adequate notice of this work session, regular meeting of the Township Council of the Township of Franklin, County of Somerset, was made by the posting on the bulletin board at the municipal complex and transmitted to the officially designated newspapers a list of dates annually indicating that this work session, regular meeting would take place at the Franklin Township Municipal Complex at 7 o'clock p.m. on Tuesday, October 8th, 2013.
No, never before.
In addition, a copy of this notice is and has been available to the public and is on file in the office of the municipal clerk. Brian, do you want to do the invocation? Ted's done.
Sure.
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Remain standing for the invocation, which will be given by Councilman Brian Regan.
I.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. O God, the Creator and Redeemer of all the faithful, hear our prayer, and through thy infinite love and mercy, graciously grant us the strength and power in our thoughts and decisions to be for the benefit of all people at all times. Amen.
Madam Clerk, please call the roll of the council.
Councilman Chase, Councilwoman Francois,
Here.
Councilman Kramer,
Here.
Mayor Levine,
Here.
Councilman Prasad,
here.
Councilman Regan,
Here.
Deputy Mayor Sherman,
Here.
Councilman Vasanella.
Councilman Vasanello informed me that due to a switch in his work schedule, he was unlikely he was going to be here tonight.
Councilman Wright.
Here.
Okay, thank you. We are following along on our agendas. You can get up and take a look at them. Don't feel that that's bad or rude or anything. That's fine. And they're by our clerk, Ms. McCarthy, along with associated resolutions and ordinances. You can usually see our agenda the weekend before the meeting, and you can see what's going to happen, see if anything is of interest to you. Correspond with us if that's the case. So we're now to item number 5, commendations and proclamations, and they're going to be slightly out of order. We're going to start with C first, and then that's Cybersecurity Awareness Month. I'll be joined by Councilwoman Francois.
We need to go for the cyber awareness.
Very nice picture.
It was a little slow getting on.
Sappy. Thank you. Very nice. Very nice.
You can lock it in his office.
It's just for the video. If you want to know, you want to me.
Sorry, I didn't realize you were there.
That's easier.
Phil?
I think that's easier.
You can do the cybersecurity thing, too?
I do.
And, pardon me, also, for the cybersecurity joined by Councilman Phil Kramer.
You guys sit there and breathe. Face, that's what it is.
Can you hear me? Okay, great. Can you hear me now? Okay. So October is Cyber Awareness Month, and Councilman Kramer and I sit on the IT Steering Committee as council liaisons. So we would like to bring to your attention some of the issues associated with cyber awareness. And then we have our IT director here who will speak about some of the things that the township is doing to make sure that he protects us against vulnerability. This is a very, very long proclamation, so I'm going to skip around a little bit. Whereas we recognize the vital role that technology has in our daily lives and in the future of our nation, whereby today many citizens, schools, libraries, businesses, and other organizations use the internet for a variety of tasks, including keeping in contact with family and friends, managing personal finances, performing research, and enhancing education and conducting business. Whereas maintaining the security of cyberspace is a shared responsibility in which each of us has a critical role, and awareness of computer security essentials, which will improve the security of Franklin Township information infrastructure and economy. Whereas the U.S. Department of Homeland Security, the Multi-State Information Sharing and Analysis Center, the National Association of State Chief Information Officers, and the National Cybersecurity Alliance have declared October as National Cybersecurity Awareness Month. And all citizens are encouraged to visit these sites along with the Franklin Township IT Department and Stop, Think, Connect to learn about cybersecurity and put that knowledge into practice in their homes, schools, workplaces, and businesses. Now, therefore, I, Kimberly Francois, Councilwoman, Councilman Phil Kramer, and our Mayor Brian D. Levine, and on behalf of the Township Council, the Township of Franklin, do hereby proclaim the month of October 2013 as Cybersecurity Awareness Month in the Township of Franklin. And on a side note, I think we're all vulnerable with our passwords that we use, our social media sites, which we all use, how we do our networking, what we put on Facebook, who you add as your friends. I can go on and on and on about how we are all very, very vulnerable. And so we want to have our IT director talk to you guys about some of the things you can do to make yourself more secure and what our township is doing.
Pretty much ditto, but fortunately, I have no social media friends, so I have nothing. No, what she says is absolutely correct. The world used to be easy. It's much more complicated now, and we all have to be careful.
So I want to thank the council for their leadership in recognizing Cybersecurity Awareness Month. About 10 years ago, Cybersecurity Awareness Month has been around for 10 years now. The federal government recognized that there was a growing threat to national infrastructure in the way of cyber attacks, so they wanted to raise awareness by it because the way that the internet's connected, we're only as strong as our weakest link. So what it boils down to is a real recognition that our users and everybody who uses the internet and uses computers and uses technology devices as they change every day are really where the attack comes. Hackers don't spend time on trying to hack the technology anymore. We've gotten pretty good at protecting that, and we've done all the things that we need to do that here in Franklin to keep them safe. I won't go into great detail because that would be counterproductive, but you know, we do have a lot of assets here that we need to protect. And what we have started this past month in recognition of Cybersecurity Awareness Month is a user education program. So each month, our users here at the township will get a newsletter that's put out by the Multi-State Information Sharing and Analysis Center that kind of highlights one area of how to be safe online. This month, it was talking about social media and just thinking before you do online. Don't expect that everybody who requests your friendship on a social media site is your friend. Don't even think that if you know them, that's actually them. You know, there are lots of ways that we kind of let our guards down because we're in front of a computer. And what's important this month is to kind of stop for a second, think about what you're about to do before you click. So over the next year or so, we're going to really ramp up this education program, teach our users how to be safe, teach our users why they need to protect the various assets that we have here at the town to try to make our information technology infrastructure a little bit more safe and sound. So, thank you, Council.
And have Deputy Mayor Rosalind Sherman join us. We've got a couple proclamations for Domestic Violence Awareness Month and also Breast Cancer Awareness Month.
Thank you.
I hope you build better.
I get to read again. Okay. October is also Domestic Violence Awareness Month. And this proclamation is to be provided to the Women's Club and also the Resource Center at Somerset. Is there anyone here representing those organizations? Okay, we'll make sure they get them. The proclamation reads, whereas violence against women, children, and men continues to become more prevalent as a social problem in our society, and whereas the problems of domestic violence are not confined to any group or groups of people, but across all economic, racial, and societal barriers, and are supported by societal indifference, and whereas the crime of domestic violence violates an individual's privacy, dignity, security, and humanity due to systematic use of physical, emotional, sexual, psychological, and economic control and/or abuse, with impact of this crime being wide-ranging, whereas everybody deserves to live a life free from fear or being hurt or killed by people who are supposed to love them. Whereas in our quest to impose sanctions on those who break the law by perpetrating violence, we must also meet the needs of victims of domestic violence, who often suffer silently grave physical, psychological, and financial losses. Whereas it is victims of domestic violence themselves who have been in the forefront of efforts to bring peace and equality to the home, whereas the Resource Center of Somerset and the Women's Club of Somerset have been serving people affected by domestic violence for over 35 years. The Resource Center of Somerset services include emergency shelter, legal advocacy, outreach counseling, community education, volunteer domestic violence response from teams working with local police departments, and more. And whereas the Women's Club of Franklin affects and services over 1,530 women and 1,753 children that were sheltered in New Jersey's county shelters in 2012 for an average length stay of 36.6 days. Whereas only a coordinated community effort will put a stop to this heinous crime. Whereas Domestic Violence Awareness Month provides an excellent opportunity for citizens to learn more about preventing domestic violence and to show support for numerous organizations and individuals who provide critical advocacy services and assistance to victims. Now for our Mayor, Brian Levine, on behalf of the Township Council, does hereby proclaim the month of October as Domestic Violence Awareness Month in the Township of Franklin, and urges all citizens to work toward eliminating domestic violence from our community, improving victim safety, and holding perpetrators of domestic abuse accountable for their actions against individual victims and our society as a whole. Okay, so we'll make sure they get these proclamations.
In the middle of that.
This month also is National Breast Cancer Awareness Month. So whereas October is, as I said, National Breast Cancer Awareness Month, which is an annual campaign to increase awareness of this disease, while we have seen an increase in mammography rates and a decline in the deaths, there is more we need to do. And whereas National Breast Cancer Awareness Month remains dedicated to increasing public knowledge about the importance of early detection of breast cancer diagnosis and treatment, and whereas too many women do not utilize mammography at regular intervals, even though research indicates it is the best available method of detection to decrease the death rates, and whereas the awareness campaign is sending out several key messages. Most notably, the American Cancer Society continues to advise women to get an annual mammogram screening once they reach the age of 40. Whereas the National Cancer Institute estimates in the United States more than 232,340 females and 2,200 male new cases of breast cancer will be diagnosed this year, and over 40,000 people will die. Whereas in Somerset County, female breast cancer increased slightly and accounts for 16.3% of all cancer cases and 8 to 7% of all cancer deaths, and are slightly higher than the average in New Jersey for incidence. And whereas there are many organizations that continue to search for a cure through vital research, they also work with the Office of Cancer Control and Prevention in New Jersey and support the Morris Somerset County Regional Chronic Disease Coalition and its partners to educate our community about the importance of early detection, our best protection, and the risks of breast cancer. And whereas this October marks the 10th anniversary of declaring the importance of Breast Cancer Awareness Month in Somerset County, and we will celebrate at a public event on October 10th at the historic steps of the courthouse at noon. That would be the courthouse in Somerville. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that the mayor and council of the Township of Franklin, County of Somerset, do hereby recognize all of the above and declare October 2013 as Breast Cancer Awareness Month and urge all women and their families to increase their knowledge about breast cancer and join us to celebrate successes and memorialize the battles. October 8th, 2013, signed by Brian D. Levine, Mayor. Is there anyone from any of the breast awareness organizations here to accept this? Okay, we'll get it to them. Thank you.
Okay, thanks for that. And now we have Operation Secure Shred Program, Councilman Brian Regan. Okay.
Thank you. Still not working?
All right, so we had the Operation Shred on September, let me put on the reading glasses, unfortunately, my eyes. Got the LASIK done, but doesn't help with the reading glasses. So we had the Operation Shred on September 7th, and it was a beautiful day, and it was packed, right, Anne Marie?
Yes,
It was
very packed.
And you know why it was packed? You're supposed to say why.
Why?
Why? Because people heard I was going to be there. There were long lines, and they heard I was going to be there, and they thought they were going to have an opportunity to shred me. So that's why the lines were so long. But I brought my motorcycle, and I got out before anybody could cut me up. So I'm going to read the commendation. We had a number of volunteer organizations involved. So let me read the commendation, and then we'll bring up those that are in attendance here. Whereas our community relies heavily upon volunteer assistance and collaboration to provide services, and whereas the Operation Secure Shred program is sponsored by the County of Somerset and operates under the direction of the Township Clerk's Office, and whereas on September 7th, 2013, the following volunteers assisted in the Township Clerk's Office in Operation Secure Shred program. Members from Boy Scout Troop 156, members from Pop Warner Junior Midgets, and members from the Franklin Youth Council. Now, therefore, I, Brian Regan, on behalf of our mayor, Brian D. Levine, on behalf of the Township Council of Franklin, County of Somerset, recognize these volunteers for their outstanding services to our community. So again, it was a rather, in overall things, a simple day, right? We had through the county, working with the county, we had the opportunity to, for people to shred very secure information or personal information tied to kind of the Cyber Month, where a lot of people brought their old checkbooks, pages, bank statements, all the information that we know today, that if that was in the garbage and somebody went through it, you leave yourself open to having your ID stolen, identity theft. And we know that that's very terrible. Fortunately, I don't know anyone who's been a victim of that crime, but for those who have and are, it's a very terrible thing to go through. It's a terrible life experience because someone has your identity. And not only the damage, but then the personal, how you feel you've been victimized. It's a very personal crime. It's not just like breaking in and taking something. It lives with you a long time. So the volunteers came and really helped out on what was a very important activity here in the town, sponsored by the county. So for the members that are here, I see members of the Boy Scout are here. So if they want to come up and they're leaders, I'll hand them proclamation. And then, pardon me, youth council, okay. We'll do them first and then. Okay, and just tell me your name as I hand it to you. Zach Zabo, congratulations and thank you very much. Dylan, very much. Thank you, Dylan. Appreciate it. Okay. Oh, sir? Oh, yeah, I think the leaders get her. And that one there.
Very good.
Okay. And then we'll have members from the youth. Oh, okay. Well, let me do that. I guess we'll do them and then have one of you speak, since I started down this path. Okay, and your name is? Gabrielle. Thank you very much, Gabrielle. All right. Okay. So 4. You want 4? Oh, sorry. Okay. All right. All right, very good. Did you want to say something?
Hi, my name is Zach Sabo, and this is Dylan Romine. And we would like to thank the council for giving us this award on behalf of Troop 156. I would like to thank the Middlebush Fire Department for sponsoring us and letting us meet there. I would like to notify the Township of Franklin that we will do service if they need us to do service in the future. Thanks.
Hello, my name is Gabrielle Mohammed, and on behalf of the Franklin Township Youth Council, I would like to thank the Franklin Council for letting us participate. It's always a pleasure to help our community, and I would also like to thank Safi Callan and Rebecca Michael for everything that they do for us. Thank you.
Just representing the Franklin Township Youth Council, we're accepting on behalf of Shania Patel, Anmol Ratan, and Sonia Gupta. And thank you so much. I hope that our kids helped, and we'd be more than happy to do it again. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thanks a lot. Okay, we are going back to our agenda, following along. We're now at item number 6, the mayor's report. And just today, just the mug for today is almost a kid's mug, but it's from Mount Vernon. It reminds me of, obviously, George Washington and our founding fathers, who at difficult times and came up with compromises, some good ones, some bad ones, but it made the country work and launch forward to become the nation we are today. And I think of a contrast in Washington right now. I'm not assessing blame to anyone. Frankly, I don't care who's to blame. But their government is shut down for most part. People can't compromise. I don't even know if they're speaking to each other. So I think sometimes great things in technology, we go forward, but sometimes we can look back to good concepts. And I can't help but thinking, because I'm a CPA by profession, how the IRS works. I'd like to have a business run like that. They're basically saying, no reprieve. You have to pay all your taxes. However, I'm not going to provide you any services. I think you can make a lot of money with a business like that. So our meetings are generally the second and fourth Tuesdays of the month. The exception will be December. They'll only be meeting on the second Tuesday of the month, not the fourth. Gets kind of close to the holidays. Announcing just congratulations to an organization, I think, of which we are all fond. The New Jersey Orators received a grant from the state for the good work that they've done and can continue that. And also, though it can be confusing, there is a special election on Wednesday, October 16th, for the United States Senate. So if you might be watching this after that meeting, but that's a little over a week from when we're broadcasting this, and then back in November it becomes the general election with everyone else there, so you can vote twice in this time period. Any other information can be found out by asking us, calling us, looking at our website, which is soon to be, if not already, new and improved. Soon to be. Okay. And personally, we have our numbers. I have my mayor Facebook page. And if you want to call us, email us, that's all extremely public. And that's all I have for our mayor's report today. So next we have the deputy mayor's report from Deputy Mayor Rosalind Sherman.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Actually, you don't have to go that far back in history to see cooperation. It wasn't all that long ago that the congressional members cooperated and worked together. There was a very lovely article in one of the newspapers this week about Tip O'Neill and Ronald Reagan, how they worked together, how the Congress worked together. So we don't have to go back to the Founding Fathers. This is just a time of extremism and unfortunate for our country. Fortunately, on the local level, we work quite well together, and we are a very productive council as a result of that. It's unfortunate our Congress doesn't follow our example. I only have one item I would like to talk about, and that is a wonderful report I was introduced to at a meeting as a result of a constituent asking about the timing of their street being paved. As you probably recall, Councilman Kramer put together a wonderful overview of the types of paving that we have been doing, the amounts we've been spending on paving, the amount of streets that we have, how we could possibly do all of this at some point without having to bond at some point. I think this is probably an offshoot of what he started, and it appears that one of our engineers has a wife who's an actuary who was on vacation and voluntarily put together a way of weighting the report on how grading the streets is a tough thing. I mean, we have over 200 miles of streets in Franklin, and it's hard to go to every one of them and make sure that we're being current in the condition that they're in. But it appears that with her actuarial talents and the input that was given by our own staff, they went to every one of those streets. We now have an extremely comprehensive report of streets in Franklin Township, and we now know which ones we need to do when. A lot of data that we didn't have before, so I tip my hat to the engineering department for having done that, and our township manager for making that happen also. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate. Next, we're going to come to item number 8 on the agenda, which is public discussion. This is going to be the only time to speak of items of a general nature. A little bit later in the meeting, I'll open up for public discussion, but it's going to be on a particular ordinance. So if you want to say anything of a general nature, we're certainly glad to hear it, and that comes up right now when we open up the meeting in a moment. And when we have public discussion, our basic policy is people come up once per meeting. We give you 5 minutes. You can tell us what's on your mind. If you want to ask your questions, tell us what's on your mind, that's fine. We'll answer them at the end. There'll be a timer, so you'll hear a tone after 3 minutes. And then after 5 minutes, you'll hear multiple tones, and I'll ask you to wrap up your thoughts. Please address all your comments to the council. If we can answer it, we will. We don't have yielding of time. And that covers it. So we're now to another item number 8. Is there a motion to open the meeting for public discussion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion is carried. Meeting's open for meeting's open for public discussion on any item of interest. Anyone wishing to speak, please raise your hand. When I recognize you, please come up, give us your name and address, please. Yes, sir. Come over here. Pull the microphone towards you, and please note we're being audio videotaped. It's being broadcast. And if you keep yourself about 3 or 4 inches from the microphone, we can hear clearly, and the audio records it properly. So, go ahead. You can pull it up a little bit.
Good evening. My name is Timothy McDougall. I live at 459 Franklin Boulevard, Somerset, New Jersey, and I have numerous complaints or concerns. The first one I'll start with is I filed numerous complaints against 2 officers, same 2 officers who killed my father back in 2010. The last incident that I filed on these officers was this past Mother's Day. My mother witnessed the incident. I also had an independent that's not related to us witness who also witnessed this incident. I also videotaped this incident on my telephone. All this was provided to Internal Affairs, and after their investigation, of course, they were found that the cops did nothing wrong. But I had a minor concern about the documents that were provided to me after the investigation was done and over by Lieutenant Gregory Borland. So I wrote him back for simple clarification, and he responded to me with a harsh and very rude response. And he even insulted my intelligence. This man does not obviously like me, and I told him previously, before this incident, that I filed a complaint against him for failing to interview my witnesses on a complaint that I filed before against Franklin Township Police Department, illegally searching and entering my home and placing a gun to the back of my brother's head. So in no way, to me, he should be involved with this investigation, this current investigation. And he wrote me back saying all types of inappropriate comments, and I took the liberty of copying, making copies of everything, and I sent it to the council this week. I don't know if you guys, last week. You should have a copy by now because I sent it certified mail, and it says that you guys received it. But in his response to me, he brought up a concern that was very alarming to me. I filed a complaint against Michael Price, Officer Michael Price, for harassment on numerous occasions. And he is the same man who shot and killed my father. And Sergeant Gregory Price conducted the investigation. And since Lieutenant Gregory Borland stated in his letter that they are not related, even though they have the same last name, I'm forced to not totally believe Gregory Borland, even though he's the commander, because the way he's been conducting himself and his unprofessional demeanor and his rude comments towards me. So I asked the city council today, do you know if Sergeant Gregory Price and Officer Michael Price, do you know if they're related?
Okay.
And if you guys do not know if they're related, how can I find out if these officers, since they work in the same township and they have the same last name, you know, I'm greatly concerned about that. How can I go about finding out if these 2 officers are related?
Well, I'm going to turn it to our attorney, Mr. Lou Raynon, because...
You can submit any questions you want to us in writing, and we'll see if we can get you answers to them.
So I should write the council.
Yes, you could write to the clerk, and if we can answer the questions, we'll answer them.
So if you can't answer the questions, what should I do then?
Well, the answer is,
I don't wanna
if
get
we can
frustrated.
answer the questions, we will, and if you can't,
Are you going to show me,
I'm done.
are you going to direct me in the right direction
No.
so I can get these questions
No.
answered? Why
No.
is that?
Because that's
I'm
not,
a citizen.
I know you are, you're also a litigant, so we know that too. So the fact of the matter is that we don't deal with our litigation here in open public meetings. We don't deal with police internal affairs complaints in open public meetings. We just don't. So the answer is, if we can answer your question, we will. If we can't, then you have to seek your own counsel to find out how you're going to get your answers. We can only answer the questions we can answer.
Okay, I appreciate that. Thank you. I got one more concern. I filed a complaint against a citizen in the community on August 5th, 2013. And I came up here, I got they told me I had to go get the address of the individuals. I had to hunt that information down. I didn't think I had to do that, but I did it anyway. I brought the complaints back on August 5th. I sent it certified mail, gave it to the municipal people. And nobody processed my complaint. I filed a complaint for for harassment. Nobody processed the complaint. And since that, on September 27th, I was assaulted by that same individual. So my question is, if I, followed the proper procedures and I filed a complaint against a citizen, why wasn't my complaint processed properly?
Let me just say this,
Yeah,
Mayor, just so
Mr. Reno.
we understand. The municipal court is the municipal court. While we fund it here, the municipal court answers to the Superior Court, who answers to the Supreme Court. We don't control whether they issue complaints or they don't issue and how they handle them. So the answer is, you have rights that are in the municipal court. You can pursue them that way. You have to pursue them through the administrative office of the courts. That's where those complaints go.
Okay, because this seems like this is a, reoccurring thing, and I'm just wondering, why am I being mistreated unfairly from so many different people that work for the township? I'm getting mistreated by numerous different officers. I'm getting mistreated by the commander of internal affairs, and then I'm getting mistreated by the people, the administration at the municipal building. It's like three different things, so I'm greatly concerned with what's going on in this township. That's why I'm bringing it to you guys' attention to hopefully get some type of resolution. I want to sit down and speak with some people. I have all the proof I need. I keep everything documented. I keep everything taped. I want to sit down and I want to discuss with somebody what you guys can do so I can feel protected, so I can feel as though I'm a citizen of this community. Because I'm being treated unfairly, and it's obvious. I had a letter from Lieutenant Gregory Borland insulting my intelligence, and he's a commander. Why would he write me insulting me like that? And I provided all I did was ask a simple question. I just asked a simple minor question. He wrote me back going in on me, saying all types of disrespectful things to me. And I'm like, why are you coming at me like that? And then he brought up the fact that Gregory Price and Michael Price are not related, something that I did not ask about, something that I did not bring up. So now that he did bring that up in his own letter, I want to know if these guys are really related, because if they are, then that's a clear conflict of interest. And that should not be happening. And my thing is, I feel as though internal affairs is maybe working with the police department to cover up the investigation. I feel like I'm being treated unfairly from so many different angles, and I want to know what the township can do, or if the township is maybe able to sit down and discuss with me a plan to come up. I know New Brunswick has a community liaison that helps the community. Are you guys willing to put that same type of process in effect so I can be helped?
There's always, I'm asking Mr. Renaud also, rights of appeal. If you don't like how something goes, you can certainly go on up the line.
Correct.
That's always correct.
Rights to
Absolutely.
appeal for the internal affairs complaint.
The answer is, right, the
Yes.
internal affairs is ultimately supervised by the county prosecutor, who's supervised by the Attorney General's office. And once again, you have redress in the court system, you have a lawsuit that's pending.
Yes.
So the
strong
answer is,
lawsuit.
well, in your opinion, but we don't
was
talk
there.
about, but
It's
we
not
don't.
my opinion.
But we
I was
don't.
there.
But
Okay.
the answer is that I know that you want to come here and talk about it, but the answer is that you
I just
you
want
have
to-
your
I want
you
to
have
be treated
places.
fairly. You don't
you
know
have-
what I came here for.
Well,
That's why I got it all
I do.
written
You
down
just
on
told
this-
me why you came here, so
I got
I
a
heard
few more
it.
things too.
Well, the
You told me
answer
to
is
bring it to the prosecutor's office.
That's where you have
I
to
did
go.
that.
Okay, one of us
Did that
one of us at a
after.
time. We ask Mr. Renaud,
Just-
then my time is completed. And the basic thing, and then we'll let you speak.
Sure, sure.
Is that if you're dissatisfied with internal affairs, You can go to the county prosecutor.
I did that
independent
already.
Source.
The prosecutor's office refused
And if you're-
to interview my witnesses.
And if you're
My
dissatisfied.
my house got illegally
you're-
searched with no search warrant.
Okay. See,
I filed
can't-
complaints about that.
I
To the
can't-
prosecutor's
I
office.
can't- I
The
can't-
prosecutor's
I can't
office took
try
the
it.
complaint and failed to
I can't
interview
try
my
the
witnesses.
case right here. If you're dissatisfied with the county prosecutor, then you can go to the state attorney general in
Correct.
Trenton, and that person oversees all the 21 county prosecutors, and that's obviously an independent
Okay, but
authority,
I figured
too.
I'd bring it here since we're in Franklin. I mean, this is happening right in your council,
actually,
right in your
We
township.
don't really
so-
have jurisdiction over what they do operationally. We control things like, their budget and their hours and their contracts, but what they do operationally, it's kind of a separation
Well, is
of
it possible
power.
for these two officers to be moved in a different location? 'Cause
We don't
they're
have
constantly
that-
harassing me.
we don't have that
Even with my
jurisdiction.
daughters, they're riding
I
by me,
understand.
throwing up hand gestures to me. That's so rude. After
Okay.
you killed my father,
gonna-
you riding past me, throwing
I'm
up
gonna ask
hand
Mr.
gestures.
Ranone if-
What is that?
Okay, I'm going to ask Ms. Renone if there's anything else, then we're going to go on, okay?
There's nothing else, Mayor, and of course, council has no authority to move or transfer or assign
I'll
or
be back.
direct or
Okay.
anybody in the
And
police department.
you know what? Next time, I'm gonna bring a few people with me so they can complain to the
Okay.
council. And then after that, I'm gonna bring a few more people. Then after that, because there's a lot of situations that's going on within the
All right,
township
I
that people are afraid to bring
All
to
right.
your attention because the
Appreciate-
program that you have in place
appreciate-
doesn't work.
Appreciate your time. Thanks a lot.
Appreciate yours too.
Take care. Okay, thank you. Anyone else from the public who wishes to speak? Mr. Tibbs?
No, I'm glad you did.
I'll be very brief. Johnny's Tibbs, 25 Parkside. It's just a couple things. First of all, I want to commend the council for finally getting the water down in the Kingston area. The people in that area, from the church down in that area, told me to tell you guys thanks a lot for what you're doing down in that area. There's a church on that street down there that you guys are doing. And also, Mr. Manager. Yes, sir. I was coming down that little part of Chester Avenue again, just from Victor Street to Hamilton Street. And my car dipped over about 10 times before I had 2 blocks, a block. And I don't know if those hoses was filled or not, the last time that we was asked, but they only put maybe a spoonful in them because they're back the way they was before.
No, I'd have to say that there's probably a little bit more than a spoonful, John, but the truth is that patches only last so long, and the reality is that they have to continue. Well, it doesn't, just traffic alone will bring the blacktop up.
Okay.
So we'll have them go back out and patch.
Yes, sir, I appreciate it, sir. It was very nice of you. And I see that the block grant proposals that's been authorized by you guys, I'm sorry Ms. Debbie Mitchell isn't here right now. I'm surprised that she's not here. But we're looking forward, some of the township residents are looking forward to presenting a proposal for the block grant for next year. So I want to put you guys on notice that there's some dire needs down in our community for several things. And hopefully when I come here in the future, that you remember that we told you about these needs. Okay, and also I was informed by someone from HUD in Newark that a number of the summer jobs that we didn't pursue this year, that HUD themselves funds those type of jobs. I didn't know. Even though I did work at HUD at Housing Authority one time when a number of the summer jobs was being performed, and I ran them pretty much. But they told me to pursue the HUD to finance some of these jobs for next summer, along with some of Councilman Francois dealing with some of the other jobs that she's doing together. And that is all I had, and thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Anyone else wish to speak? No one else? Anyone want to close public discussion?
Seeing no one coming forward, Mr. Mayor, I move that we close the public session.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, motion is carried. Public discussion is closed for this meeting. Thank you very much. We're now at item number 9 on the agenda, standing committee reports. And the first we have is Administration Committee. Anyone want to take that one?
Yes, we had a
Deputy Mayor
meeting.
Sherman.
Yes,
Sherman?
thank you. And on September 26th, we're reconstructing some of the lobby area of the municipal building. Some of you who have come here may have noticed certain things are starting to change, and we are eventually going to have, and a lot of it is for security purposes, because there's free access into the building. So we're going to have all of the bill-paying windows up front here, and that project is moving ahead. This way we can lock the rest of the doors, and people can only get by using their card passes. So that process is moving ahead very, very well from what I recall. We also talked a bit about our grants writing program. We have tried it several different ways and not had a lot of great success with it. And it is going to be on the agenda again at one of our admin meetings, because we're just not taking advantage of some of the opportunities that may be out there. We do have a grants writing company, but it's not really working. And we have to find out how other communities are doing it and how we can do it better ourselves. And then we discussed, managers' goals and progress on those, and several other things that I really can't go into a lot of detail about. But essentially, our job is to discuss the administrative type of things, including those things that I mentioned this evening. I think those were the major issues. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Financial Oversight Committee. Councilman Phil Kramer.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We discussed 4 topics, one of which involves negotiations, so I'll talk about it in an executive session. Last time I spoke about our ISO rating, which is a rating of more or less of how our code inspectors or our code officials work, whether they're doing inspections right, whether they are giving permits correctly. This affects your home property taxes, affects your home insurance rates, sorry. The better our rating, the better your insurance rates are. The best rating you can get in New Jersey due to complications of New Jersey is a 2. You can't get a 1 in New Jersey due to things the state does. And we've always had a 2. There was a complication that was going to threaten us going down to a 3. And I'm happy to announce that I learned today from the manager that we took care of that complication, so we will say we will remain a 2, and your insurance premiums will not go up, at least not due to those ratings. We also got word that our bond rating is AA+, that's Standard & Poor's. It's remaining AA+, which is really, it's actually the only thing is AAA, and those are rare, so we have really one of the best bond ratings in the country, let alone the state, let alone the country. And that has to do a lot with our low bonding rate. And then the other thing is we discussed the scheduling of the budget process. And that's it. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Next, we have Public Safety Committee. Councilman Brian
Mr. Mayor,
Regan.
So the Public Safety Committee doesn't meet every month. It's every other month, so our next meeting will be in November, so there's nothing new since my last report in September.
Okay, thank you. Land Use, Open Space, Recreation, and Parks.
We didn't have a meeting, Mr.
Councilman
Mayor.
Wright, Carl Wright, okay. And Public Works. Councilman Ted Chase.
We haven't had a meeting in quite some time. I'm told that at some point we want to have a meeting because the county wants to discuss going to a single single-stream recycling, but our engineer hasn't been able to pin down somebody from the county to come talk to us, so this hasn't happened yet.
Just to add to that, and some questions down here as to what is single stream. The county entered into a trial program in Greenbrook and Southbound Brook about a year ago, in which rather than having to separate all your recycling, they provide one large container that you put all of your recycling, paper, cardboard, bimetal, aluminum, glass, and plastic, into one container so that you don't have to separate out and bundle your newspapers and what have you. And the goal of the county is to take that program countywide. They now have some experience in smaller communities, and they wish to get experience in a large community. So they've identified Franklin as the target township in the county to try it out in a large municipality, and as the councilman said, that is supposed to be scheduled in the very, very near future. Tom is trying to work it out with the Director of Public Works, Paul McCall, from the county.
Okay, thank you. So now we're at item number 10, council comments. I think we're starting here this time. Okay, no, I guess.
All right,
This way?
either way.
Either way, I was signaling to,
We'll
either
go.
way, I was signaling to the manager to put down the projector.
Oh, okay. Okay, so Councilman Rajiv Prasad.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Since he
He
started.
was pointing at me. I'll start.
Okay.
Unless you want to, right?
Yeah, we'll go.
You'll go? Okay.
Yeah. So extreme left is speaking. The Youth Employment Service is something that is of great importance, and the Human Relations Commission is taking that task on, and urges everyone who is in need of youth employment that they should call the county, and they're looking for people to help. So please do reach out to the county Youth Employment Service. In town, the mayor was also there, and so was the deputy mayor. We had Swami Kumarji here, and on Friday night, we had the kickoff of the Navaratri celebrations. Late at night at 10:30, went to about 11:30 at night. And so that happened, and then there was a Dasera festival in Edison that we sent our compliments and best wishes to. And finally, the government shutdown may be there because of the Obamacare, but being Breast Cancer Awareness Month, I just wanted to point out that Obamacare does mandate coverage of mammograms, and which is a good thing to save lives, considering 40,000 lives are lost every year. And finally, please vote on October 16th for the Senate and November 5th for the governor and Senate and Assembly and our local Township Council, as well as freeholders. Thank you. Get out and vote.
Thank you. Councilman Carl Wright.
Mr. Mayor, I'll be real quick. Just to continue with our Councilman at Large, Rashid Prasad, on the breast cancer awareness. This past Saturday, the Sisters Network of Central New Jersey had its walk and run for breast cancer at the Franklin High School. And I just wanted to say that they raised the money for breast cancer. A lot of the women there were breast cancer survivors. So I just wanted to let everyone know that being Breast Cancer Month, I think is very important. If you watch all the sports programs, everyone's wearing pink, wearing red. And if you don't have your pin, I have a bunch of them for you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Councilman Phil Kramer.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. A very general comment about Mr. McDougal coming up, the laws, the way they're set up, I don't often agree with Trenton, or at least I don't always agree with Trenton, but in this case, I certainly do. You don't want us deciding on police policies. One, because we don't know enough to do it, and two, you don't want politicians in general deciding on police policies. Well, I think everyone here is above board. Imagine a corrupt council who is telling the police, go after that guy, don't go after that guy. So it is kept separate for a very important reason. And while sometimes we do want to get involved, we can't, and we shouldn't. Just a comment about what Deputy Mayor Sherman said about road paving. I'd seen that document. It's a great document, and it's half done because the next part, that tells us where we are. The next part is looking at the old ordinances, trying to figure out how long certain roads went between paving so we can get a prediction of when we'll need to pave roads. And that way we can come up with a great plan and maybe get out from under bonding roads. Mr. Tibbs came up and told us about a pothole situation. Today, Mr. Chris Kelly sent me an email about some issues in towns, about some signs, about Skillman Road. Send those things to me or to other council members, or I've got my number up here. We can't be everywhere, and, tell us those stuff, and we pass those things, and we pass them on to the manager, and if they can get done, they get done that way. So please keep us informed. Now, if the videographer would point the camera at the screen, I'll continue my council comments. So, the people in the area of Van Cleef know it as the Ugly Red House on Van Cleef. Well, the picture to the upper left is the before, and the picture to the lower right is the after. I've been working in the state with the state along with Gina Chanella, a local resident who got her Girl Scout Gold Award, and that house is gone. So is a house at the end of Meadows, which wasn't very visible to the public, but it has also been torn down. If you remember, Hampton Chase paid us $130,000 to take over their retention basins. Their association had $11,567 in liens that they were holding, and I came up with the idea of, well, rather than holding that and having to hire a lawyer to watch that and kind of drain down the money, why not donate that to the food bank? They thought that was a great idea, and on Saturday we had a little ceremony, one of those big check ceremonies, and it looks like I'm handing over $11,000, but I don't know why I'm standing out in front there. I think we were trying to get an order there. But they donated $11,567 in liens to the food bank, and that picture is courtesy of mycentraljersey.com. Predpol, I talked about before, is the computer program that will help our officers try to figure out better where crimes might occur. It is by no means a replacement for officers. It is a way to make them more effective, and we are getting very close. I was hoping we were going to vote on it at this meeting, but due to the red tape of, appropriate red tape of making sure pay-to-play is adhered to and investigated properly, we couldn't make it by this meeting, but we will be hopefully voting on that next meeting. Here's something that I am extremely proud of. I'm not as fortunate as the mayor to be on the Red Tape Commission, but I was able to get past some red tape, or at least I'm very proud that this bill has just been placed in the Senate by Senator Whalen. I've been working with his people, and he has now put this bill forward, and it allows law enforcement agencies to utilize electronic signatures on police reports and requires the Attorney General to adopt uniform guidelines to do that. This came about when I was doing one of my ride-alongs with the police, and I just noticed them spending, after an arrest, a lot of time in the precinct office working on paperwork, and it just occurred to me, gee, I'd rather have them out on the streets than doing that paperwork. And this, through discussions about that, this led to, I asked some questions, and this led to some streamlining ideas. And if this bill goes through, it will save money and make things a little bit faster. So I'm very proud of that, and I'm told by our chief of police that it is now endorsed, the bill is endorsed by the New Jersey State Association of Chiefs of Police. Along with that, it doesn't have a bill number yet, but I'm working with Pendra Shevakula, Deputy Mayor Sherman, and Councilman Chase on this. And this name is not an official name. I made it up last night, to be honest, to try to just encapsulate it, the Historic Structures Preservation Initiative. But this is, I think I've spoken of before, places such as Tulipwood, the Dunn property, gorgeous homes that are sitting there, and due to kind of red tape, we don't have the money to protect them and to rejuvenate them, but because of the red tape, we can't sell them to private individuals that might be able to do that and take over. So this is a bill that Mr. Assemblyman Shevakula is working on with us and should go forward soon to try to make it much easier to preserve those homes and not cost taxpayers money. Along those lines, another one of our historic buildings that is very dear to me, living in East Millstone, and because of its Revolutionary War history, is the Franklin Inn. Well, it's been mentioned here before. Ms. Goldie's come here and talked about it, and kudos to her for keeping it alive. I've also been working on it, and we had a meeting about it with the manager and with the owner, and discussed various ways of doing this. And basically, it's up to the owner now to get accreditation or get a certificate from the group that inspected the area for contamination. The problem is the area around the Franklin Inn is contaminated, but maybe not the area immediately around the Franklin Inn. So we're getting documentation, or hoping for documentation that says there's nothing of question around the Franklin Inn, and then after that, we hope that the DEP will say it is not an area of interest, and from that point, we can move forward and try to preserve this property, which is of great historic importance. And then, of course, not a council meeting will go by without me mentioning it. Canal Fest, October 19th, with the Better Not Rain date of October 20th. Food, music, games for the kids, crafts, artwork, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Please come. It's from 11 to 5 on Market Street in East Millstone. And the firehouse across the street has an open house there as well. So a great day to be had. Please come. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Councilman Ted Chase.
One thing I can report is that we have received a small grant from Sustainable Jersey, and when I say small, I mean $2,000. But the real point of this is to set up bins to receive soft plastic, most obviously plastic grocery bags that people have been taking back to the grocery stores for recycling, but also things like bubble wrap and dry cleaning wrappers, things that typically are not accepted by grocery stores. And there's a company in Piscataway that uses this soft plastic as a raw material and recycles it. And in fact, the guy we've been in contact with will come and pick up whatever soft plastic we accumulate if we set up some bins, and we'll pay the township 15 cents a pound for this. Now, this is not going to fill any budget problems for the township, but it's not nothing, and the real point is to get these materials back into recycling. And a further point is that the grant not only funds setting up these bins, and we discussed in the Environmental Commission where to put them, and in the Green Team meeting this morning, we might have even several of them around the municipal complex, one at Public Works. I'd like to have one in the southern part of the township, perhaps at the Franklin Township Center, shopping center at South Middlebush and Route 27. Not only will it fund the bins, but it will also contribute towards the publication of our township newsletter if we have an article in the newsletter alerting the people of the town to the availability of these bins. So I hope we can get the bins set up by the deadline for submission of articles to the next newsletter. Another thing I've been trying to work on, and a real problem, is figuring out exactly how to set it up. Two committees, one was suggested by John Luce, formerly our open space consultant, to set up a committee on invasive species, starting with purple loosestrife in the township, and both to do some pulling up and discarding of these invasive plants, but also to educate the public about them. The second committee I'd like to set up is a community gardens committee to allow not only to get an exchange of information between the people of our present two community gardens, but also to recruit more volunteers and get more community gardens set up in the township. And it's just a question of exactly how do we do this? Should this be an ordinance or a resolution or what? And we also have to determine how, if we put out a call for volunteers, who receives the names of the volunteers. But trying to give the public notice that this is something that should be coming up in the near future. And the Green Team met this morning, and we're going to push ahead towards silver level certification next year. We have a lot of items to work on. And I went to a Sustainable Jersey meeting last Thursday in Monroe Township and learned some useful things there. For instance, I was told that we could get Sustainable Jersey credit just for having a cultural arts committee, which of course our deputy mayor has set up. So I'll send her the information and let's get that action sent in. So that's probably enough. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Councilman Brian Regan.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So tonight, just a few comments. One is on the community development block grants that are in. It's basically been approved, for a little over $254,700. As you may recall, this had been approved at council earlier, and now the resolution's gone through. This is always a difficult process because each year we get cut in our funding. So, Mr. Tibbs, I can assure you, you don't need to bring it to members' attention about the need. members on this council are very much aware of it, and the members on the Financial Oversight Committee are specifically aware of it, because we're the ones that generally come up with the recommendations as how to use that money. And I can only tell you, it's a very difficult process because we know that there is such a greater need, and we can never fill all the requests. So I do want to make you aware that we are fully aware of the impact of that grant to our township. And it's, like I said, it's one of those moments when I wish I wasn't on council, because you know you're disappointing or not getting all the funds you need. So I'm happy to see that this is going through now, again, and the process will start probably sometime in February of next year for the next round. Also, we have a resolution to, for money to award a contract for our animal shelter. So even in our difficult times, we're still making those funds available and necessary for the running of our animal shelter. I know that makes Mr. Kramer, Councilman Kramer, very happy, as well the rest of our council members. We try to do what we can with the little money that we have for those areas outside of critical path items. As far as overall grants, yes, we have been looking at it. A problem we face in Franklin is the fact that because we, specifically in the last 4+ years, have really been managing and working on our finances to keep our bond rating up and our financial health in good shape, that is a consideration when these grants are awarded. It's like, a lot of things. The government will award grants to communities that do not have as good as a financial standing as we do. They'll look at a community like Franklin and kind of say, find a way to do it on your own. Now, of course, that puts us in difficult positions because we still have to manage our financial health while trying to serve all our needs. So in some ways, we're being punished for being good stewards of our money. So relative to that, we'll continue to look. As Deputy Mayor mentioned, we have a grants writer. We've had one for 2-3 years now, trying to look out at this. So we are trying to be creative in getting it, but it is probably tied to the fact that within the state of New Jersey, Franklin is probably one of the strongest financial, health-wise, of municipalities. All right. Just a brief, note from, well, no, I'll save that for later. Okay, so that's it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councilwoman Kimberly Francois.
I know there's been a lot of conversation about the YES program and the focus that the Human Relations Commission has put there. So I'd like to address that. We had a meeting last night with the Franklin Youth Initiative, and Tyra James, who is the Youth Employment Services Program Coordinator, was there last night, as well as Mike Mistretta, who is the YES Youth Employment Services Case Manager. They gave a readout, and what we discovered and determined based on that review presentation was that about 25% of Franklin Township youth have participated in the program over the last 3 years. However, we feel that we should have more participation. They happen to have an outreach coordinator that they're going to be bringing on board that works with specifically Somerset County. So that outreach coordinator is going to be put in contact with Bruce Medley, who is the FYI program coordinator on staff here in the township. And we're going to develop a strategy where we can do some more outreach because we think we can do more there. One of the things that I did discover, we all discovered last night, was that the ARISE program has been given referrals. Our social services program here in the township has also provided referrals. Mr. Wilson, Orville Wilson, was there last night, and he is now aware of the program as well. So the school system can institutionalize providing referrals if kids drop out as well. So a lot of it has to do with getting the word out. FYI is going to take the bull by the horn with that and see if we can increase and improve our participation. I also had a conversation with Johnny Tibbs today about him providing some referrals. Anybody can provide referrals, and we talked about the 5 youth that he happens to have that he's going to submit referral forms to. So I think we're moving along. The other thing that we talked about, this was our first meeting with FYI last night. We had a very positive Black History Month where we did the unveiling of our President Barack Obama's portrait here in the town hall. And we also have formed a coalition with the Municipal Alliance and Youth Services Commission. And within that, forming that coalition, we're looking at implementing very sustainable programs and services. For example, drug and alcohol prevention programs, as well as looking at smoke-free parks initiatives as well. So we talked about that. We also went over a lot of the programs that the Franklin Youth Initiative continues to sponsor. And so the comment that I made was, even though we have not been meeting, we have implemented and institutionalized sustainable programs within the township. For example, Youth Council, you saw some of the things that they're doing. Boys Council, Girls Council. We still continue to have the GREAT program, which is a gang prevention program in the middle school. We also had a police academy program this summer and had quite a few graduates that graduated from the police academy. We have educational programs that are still involved, that have been implemented in our school system, like Connect, that's been ongoing and sustainable. We have teen recreation. We continue to have social services programs that we're offering over at 935 Hamilton Street. And so we've also had some youth field trips that we provided this summer. I went on a couple myself, and several other youth programs that are out there that continue to thrive. And we've also formed a coalition with our Teen Drop-In Center with the Alternative Program School. So we'll be sharing that space, which I think is wonderful. And we're going to be putting up some widescreen TVs, and the kids will be able to do active recreation there that are part of the alternative program. So the Franklin Youth Initiative is live and well. One of the things that we discussed is there is a gap with continuing to figure out ways to get kids jobs. So we're going to reconvene back in January and talk about how we can do a better job at that. And we also talked about providing career workshops in conjunction with the school system and doing a better job. So I just wanted to give a readout for those folks that weren't able to come. Even though the weather was bad last night, we had a pretty good turnout. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor Rosalind Sherman.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just to touch on that historic preservation issue that Councilman Kramer brought up, the Cultural Arts Council has a member on it who was a long-term Rutgers employee, and we had looked at Tulipwood at one time as a potential for perhaps a cultural arts center down the road. It has too much work that needs to be done to it. It's a very beautiful house. But John Salapatis has gone to Rutgers, to several of the departments at Rutgers that do these kinds of projects with students. And they have had some preliminary discussions to perhaps work on Tulipwood as a combined project. It wouldn't happen this year, and in the meantime, should we be able to find a way to sell it, that certainly would be fine also, but we can't sell these homes, as Councilman Kramer mentioned. So John has just started the first steps to start a partnership with Rutgers, which is absolutely a great idea. So we may have some good progress there, but slow, but it's progress. Operation Graduation, which is the graduation night program that is offered to Franklin High School students, is going to have a clothing sale. That is the way they raise a lot of money, or they're looking for clothing, which they sell to a company. But that clothing brings in a great deal of funding to them. On October 19th, at Sampson School, they will be collecting any clothing in good condition, shoes and purses that you'd like to get rid of, and contribute it to a very, very good cause. It keeps our kids safe on graduation night, so please consider dropping off some clothing at Sampson School. Cultural arts, of course, have to talk about that, as Councilman Kramer has to talk about Canal Fest. We had a marvelous poetry program. I wish I can get more people interested. It's light, it's interesting, it's clever. We'll be doing more, and I'll keep pushing. This month we have a few things going on. We have an art show at 20 Grove Street. That's the County Cultural and Heritage Gallery, and artists throughout the county have been requested to submit paintings or ceramics or other types of art work that they do. So we're going to have 11 artists starting coming up in October, and it is at 20 Grove Street at the County Art Gallery. We also have a group that is putting on a program for Halloween. It is free. It is going to be held at the People's Care Center at 120 Findern Road. It's going to be a musical with all kinds of songs with the theme of Halloween. It is on Saturday, October 19th from 2 to 4 p.m., and again, it is free. The only other program I just want to make you aware of, because tickets are now on sale, is something being done by our senior group. It's going to be at that community senior center. It won't be until November 21st, but I hear tickets are going quite quickly. It's called A Touch of Sinatra. It is someone who impersonates him. I hear he does a wonderful job, and someone will be narrating Frank Sinatra's life story during the program. So the tickets are $5. The show will be on November 21st, and it will be at 10:30 in the morning. So it's geared for seniors who don't drive at night. Please come, but you need to buy your tickets, and they're on sale now at the community center. And that's my report. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. And now for my comments, just basically reiterating a couple things real quickly. People mentioned that Navratri, once again, is very successful. It's nearing, I think, 10 years it's been in Franklin, and Councilman Prasad was up in the late hours and the wee hours to represent Franklin there and give a greeting on our behalf. Sisters Network, again, had its nice event by Franklin High School, big good coordination effort with them. Now, just always to keep posted on all of our events. They're on our website. Things like Pumpkin Patch for little kids is coming up in a couple weeks. And our library, the main library, which is here in the municipal complex in the branch, down in Franklin Park on the corner of South Middlebush and Route 27, is that programs keep increasing, and people coming to the library keeps increasing month after month. There might be an odd concept out there that libraries are becoming obsolete with the internet, but it's the opposite. The attendance keeps growing and all the programs they have, so those are all good things the town has in which to keep your eyes. And that's all for my report for now. We have item number 11, council discussion items. We have the calendar year 2013 best practices inventory. Is Ms. McCarthy or Mr. Vornlocker, one of you have that?
I believe all of council has it. It's a requirement of the state every year to complete this. You have the completed form in there. Ordinarily, this would be completed by the CFO. In this particular case, it was completed by the CFO and by Mr. Hodgelick and myself as we went through all the questions. Many of the questions are repeat questions annually that we continue to follow best practices. I think what you'll see is, if you get a chance to look through it, is we're pretty good as far as the state's concerned, and we are following most of the best practices suggested by the state. And in some cases, while we may not be following them now, it's just simply a fact of, in one particular case, contract negotiations. One of the questions deals with contracts that expired post-November of 2011. We currently don't have any contracts that expired after November of 2011. We have several that expired before, and we have some that are about to expire. So that question really doesn't pertain to us at this particular point, but it will in the very near future, and it has to do with contract caps. In particular, there's one issue that I have to be honest with you, I didn't know initially what it entailed. I now do. The answer to that question is no, and it deals with Local Finance Notice 2013-17 and procurement cards. Basically, I talked to Joyce Miller, our purchasing agent, about this, and this is something that in an upcoming financial oversight meeting, I'll have Joyce come and discuss exactly how procurement cards could help us. One of the issues that we frequently deal with is the inability to purchase from vendors that don't accept purchase orders. And while it may afford a much better price on an item to purchase from them, if they don't accept a purchase order, then we have a difficult time in buying it. And to be honest with you, oftentimes for small items, it might be an employee reimbursement purchase order where the employee places the purchase on their credit card, and then we wind up reimbursing the employee. It's really not the best way to do things, and we prefer not to do it that way. So this might afford us the opportunity to maybe get some better prices on items where the vendor doesn't accept purchase orders. So that's one thing out of this best practices that I saw that we could pursue as we move forward. So that's pretty much where we're at.
Okay, and as I understand with the best practices inventory, we don't take any action, it's just given to us and we discuss it as we did.
Exactly, you can discuss it, and certainly as far as policy is concerned, there are some issues in here that deal with township policy as it relates to personnel policies and things of that nature. But I think if you look through it, as I said, most of the best practices, there's 50 that are listed here, and 47 of them have a yes answer. So obviously we're in the right direction, maybe beyond just the right direction. And the other, this affects our state aid, and based on our responses here and our best practices, we are eligible for 100% of our state aid.
Okay, thank you. If nothing else, we'll go on to item number 12. Approval of minutes. These minutes are presented to the Township Council for approval. The work session regular meeting of September 10th, 2013. The work session regular meeting of September 24th, 2013. And the Township Council executive session minutes of September 10th, 2013 and September 24th, 2013. Is there a motion that the aforementioned minutes be approved as submitted?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Ms. McCarthy, please poll the council on approval of the minutes, please.
Councilman Chase?
Yes?
Councilwoman Francois?
Yes.
Councilman Kramer?
Yes.
Mayor Levine?
Yes.
Councilman Prasad?
Yes.
Councilman Regan?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Sherman?
Yes.
Councilman Wright?
Yes.
Okay, motion is carried. Next, we have approval of the warrants. The warrants are the bills that we pay, warrants in the amount of $6,072,933.09 on October 8th, 2013, are presented to the Township Council for payment. Is there a motion to pay the warrants as read?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. And I'll tell you in advance, there's, in order to remove any appearance of a conflict, I'm going to abstain on the warrants because item in there that I should abstain on. So, Ms. McCarthy, please hold the council on the warrants.
Councilman Chase?
Yes.
Councilwoman Francois?
Yes.
Councilman Kramer?
Yes.
Mayor Levine?
Abstain.
Councilman Prasad?
Yes.
Councilman Regan?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Sherman?
Yes.
Councilman Wright?
Yes.
Okay, motion is carried.
Mayor, are you paying yourself or?
It's actually, it accumulates, when we approve doing the weddings, that usually comes like, we just accumulate it for a year, so it's the payment for the weddings. So, that's all. That's exactly what it is. All right. Okay, I should have explained that probably. Okay, so we have now public hearing for an ordinance to go into law. Yeah, I should have explained that, so thanks actually for asking, so I can put it out there. For an ordinance to go into law, it's usually voted on twice. The first time, there's a vote on the ordinance, and then usually the next meeting or two after that, there's a second vote. At that second vote, there's a public hearing, which means anyone can speak on that ordinance, and if it passes a second time, it will go into law. So there is one item, which is second hearing and, second vote and public hearing, and that's item number 14A on our agenda, ordinance 4038-13, an ordinance of the Township of Franklin, County of Somerset, State of New Jersey, authorizing acceptance of deed of dedication, detention basin drainage easements, emergency access and driveway easement, site triangle easements, temporary drainage easement, and waterline easements in summer fields at Franklin Homeowners Association, Inc. Phase 2, Section 1, docket number PLN 2006-0030. The Township Attorney has approved the affidavit of publication, and public hearing is in order. This is a fairly standard drainage easement for summer fields and new development going up near Canal Walk. Is there a motion to open the meeting for public hearing on this ordinance?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion is carried. Meeting is open for public discussion on this particular ordinance. Anyone interested in speaking, please raise your hand. No.
Mayor, upon seeing no one coming forward, I make a motion to close the public session.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion is carried. Public hearing is closed for this ordinance. Thank you. Is there a motion for final passage of the ordinance and publication in accordance with law?
So moved.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. Ms. McCarthy, please poll the council on item 14A, ordinance 4038-13, please.
Councilman Chase?
Yes.
Councilwoman Francois?
Yes.
Councilman Kramer?
Yes.
Mayor Levine?
Yes.
Councilman Prasad?
Yes.
Councilman Regan?
Me? Yes.
Deputy Mayor Sherman?
Yes.
Councilman Wright?
Yes.
Okay, we have two items on for introduction. The first is 14A on the agenda, ordinance number 4039-13. Let's see, we're doing both of these, right? Okay, thank you. It's an ordinance of the Township of Franklin, County of Somerset, State of New Jersey, authorizing drainage easements, drainage and access easements, site triangle easements, and water main easements, summer fields at Franklin Homeowners Association, Inc., Phase 2, Section 2, docket number PLN 2006-0030. It's on the same site as the prior ordinance. This is more fairly standard easements. The foregoing ordinance is presented to the Township Council for adoption on first reading, posting, publication in accordance with public hearing, and final adoption on Tuesday, October 22nd, 2013, at 7 o'clock p.m. here at the Municipal Complex. Is there a motion to introduce?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Madam Clerk, please poll the council on item 14A, ordinance 4039-13, please.
Councilman Chase?
Yes.
Councilwoman Francois?
Yes.
Councilman Kramer?
Sure.
Mayor Levine?
Yes.
Councilman Prasad?
Yes.
Councilman Regan?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Sherman?
Yes.
Councilman Wright?
Yes.
Okay, motion is carried. We have the second and final of our ordinance introductions, item 15B on the agenda. Ordinance 4040-13, an ordinance to amend the Code of the Township of Franklin, County of Somerset, New Jersey, Chapter 46, Personnel Policies, Section 46-13, Retirement Benefits, subsection B. I think this kind of tightens up our personnel ordinance. Correct. Okay. Okay, thanks for that. And it's, the foregoing ordinance is presented to the Township Council for adoption on first reading, posting, publication in accordance with law, and public hearing, final adoption on Tuesday, October 22nd, 2013, at 7:00 p.m. here at the Municipal Complex. Is there a motion to introduce?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Madam Clerk, please poll the council on item 15B, ordinance 4040-13.
Councilman Chase?
Yes.
Councilwoman Francois?
Yes.
Councilman Kramer?
Yes.
Mayor Levine?
Yes.
Councilman Prasad?
Yes.
Councilman Regan?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Sherman?
Yes.
Councilman Wright?
Yes.
Okay, motion is carried. Next, we have item 16, our consent agenda. Consent agenda are items of a basically routine nature that can be voted on at one time. It's any council person's prerogative to pull something off for a separate discussion or vote. So we have items 16A through 16S. They're listed on the consent agenda portion of this meeting, and they're presented to the Township Council for adoption. Is a motion for the consent agenda or discussion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Ms. McCarthy, please poll the council on the consent agenda, 16A through 16S, please.
Councilman Chase?
Yes.
Councilwoman Francois?
Yes.
Councilman Kramer?
Yes.
Mayor Levine?
Yes.
Councilman Prasad?
Yes.
Councilman Regan?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Sherman?
Yes.
Councilman Wright?
Yes.
Okay, motion is carried. We now have item 17, resolutions voted on separately, of which we do not have any this evening. So next we have 18, old business, 2013 board and commission vacancies. Are there nominations for any of these positions?
Mr. Mayor?
Councilman Kramer, please.
So there's a vacancy on the Sewage Commission, and it occurs to me that the other, Sewage Authority, the other authorities, such as the redevelopment agency and the, well, the library isn't an authority, but it's kind of a separate form of government, that there's a voting council representative on each of these. And it occurs to me that perhaps that would be a good thing to do with that position on the Sewage Authority. So, since Councilman Regan has been the liaison there, he's clearly the best qualified amongst us. I thought that a good idea, but I think this is probably the first you're hearing of it, Mr. Mayor. So if you want to table that to the next meeting, because the Sewage Authority won't meet until, I guess, November now, is certainly willing to do that, so you could think about it, or maybe come up, nominate yourself or whatever. But or argue the point that maybe we shouldn't have a council member on. But I thought that a good idea. So I'm nominating Mr. Regan with your permission. How about that?
Okay.
I'd second it.
Okay, before I go, are there other nominations? No, I appreciate the consideration. Actually, I don't need Councilman Regan's resume, because I didn't memorize it, but I'm aware of parts of it. I think that's an excellent concept. He's informed of things that are there, he's knowledgeable. Maybe we could think about hard coding, if that's legal, a voting council member into the future like we do other things. But right now...
Can we do that? Do we have the authority to do that, or?
I don't think that you do, but I think as a matter of policy, you can if you want.
Okay. No, I think that's an excellent concept.
Just as a discussion point, I mean, the planning board council member liaison votes, and everywhere else they vote except on the sewage authority, so why not?
I don't, yeah.
So you're not
Not
just a
sure
lame
about the
duck
library
observer.
board.
You're active participant.
The mayor selects someone for the library board, or he can be that
Oh,
person.
he is the
so he's
person,
voting
okay,
member
you're
on the
right,
library.
you're right.
The membership of the planning board is actually defined by the municipal land use law, that there should be the mayor or his or her representative and a council member as voting members of the planning board. I don't think that the liaisons are voting members of the other committees, and indeed, I think there's particular need for a voting member at the sewage authority, lest they have meetings that the liaison is not informed of.
You did. Okay. So you can just go for a roll call on that? Okay.
I think we're all in agreement.
Right, so there's a nomination on the table.
In a second.
All right.
In a second, yes.
Thanks. So, again, good concept, appreciate the consideration towards me personally, so thank you for that. And maybe that goes towards the point Deputy Mayor Sherman made at the very top of the meeting, that maybe other bodies of legislature can learn from our example.
Take that, Senate.
There you go.
Or House, or whatever.
Okay, so I guess, since there's no other nominations, all in favor of Councilman Regan to be our voting member on the Sewerage Authority by acclamation, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Congratulations, Councilman Regan. Appreciate that.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I do want to thank my fellow council members for nominating me.
You have 45 minutes for an acceptance speech.
Okay. I promise you, I will do it in less than 10% of that.
Time in which we can repeal your
So I do want to thank you for your confidence you placed in me since I was appointed to the Sewage Authority upon my return to council back, I guess, in March of 2010, 11. I've been instrumental in a number of areas on the Sewage Authority. One is their attending their meetings. I noticed that their safety reports were inconsistent and they weren't always filing them properly with the DEP. So since that time, they now do that on a monthly basis. Additionally, I've worked with them, and this year is the first year in recent memory that they've had a 3-year budget in place, that they put together a budget to look at where they are. And finally, as in the meeting in August, due to some concerns I had about the way the process was followed to hire an acting superintendent, I voiced my concerns about that to our township attorney, and then after conversations with him, we decided on having an executive session on that, which was scheduled last month, September 10th. So I take my role and my position in the Sewage Authority very, very serious, so I thank you for your confidence in putting me on there.
Okay, thank you. And now we have a resolution 13-481 for an executive session, to authorize an executive session for the areas of contract negotiation, collective bargaining. When we go into executive session, that's when the council meets in private. At that time, there's only certain items we can discuss in private, such as personnel, attorney-client privilege, or collective bargaining, such as that. So that's what this one is. Resolution, again, 13-481, authorize the executive session for contract negotiations, collective bargaining. The resolution is presented to the council. Is there a motion for the resolution calling for executive session?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Ms. McCarthy, please poll the council on the resolution for executive session.
Councilman Chase?
Yes.
Councilwoman Francois?
Yes.
Councilman Kramer?
Yes.
Mayor Levine?
Yes.
Councilman Prasad?
Yes.
Councilman Regan?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Sherman?
Yes.
Councilman Wright?
Yes.
Okay, motion is carried. So we're now going to go into executive session for the item I delineated. After executive session, two things will happen. We will come out and we'll have a vote to come out of executive session, and then we'll vote to adjourn. No other business will be conducted. So because that's the only things that will happen, we'll end our taping right now. So thank you very much and be well.